What's good, Chaotic Nation? It is your boy Chaos here. Welcome to the close of the Season 7 Premier Draft League Doubles PDL. It has been a very, very good season. If you haven't watched the battles, you've been missing out on all of the fun and all the excitement that we've shared over the last couple of months. We started this project in the middle of the summer, and now we finally get ourselves to a close on Season 7. So we will take a look at some of our teams today and take a look at MVPs from each given team, depending on what the coaches thought their MVPs were. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the battles that are going on. But we're just here to wrap up this season and kind of go over everything that has happened so far. So I guess without too much further ado, let's jump into our teams and see what's going on. So first and foremost, we have our Season 7 leaders. These are our Pokemon that have kind of led the categories with kills, with kill death ratio, and kills per match. You can see that Gmax, Rillaboom holding down the top of each of those categories, being one of the most used and most difficult Pokemon to take down, only going down one time this whole season. So very good Mon, put in a lot of work, 15 kills with only one death, and definitely leads the league in ratio of all three of these categories by a good bit of a margin. We have 4 kills for our second place with Porygon, a differential of about 6 in that category, and then the rest of them go down. As you see here, a lot of these teams were our playoff teams. I think all 4 of our playoff teams are represented on this Season 7 leaders board, so definitely makes sense, as these were the coaches that had an extra match, an extra couple matches, and also earned their spot on the playoffs roster this season. So if you're curious about these stats and others of previous seasons, you can always check out our website. It's linked in the description down below with the stats, and you can always go through that and look at those stats whenever you want. It'll show you the breakdown of the teams, their own kill death ratios and everything, but we're going to talk about a little bit of that here. So let's jump into our first team here, the Texas Fuecocos, at the bottom of the roll with a 1-6 final record. Just barely getting last place, by the way, only 1 point differential between them and the next level up. The MVP of this team is Umbreon. Umbreon put in a lot of work this season, being a nice defensive and utility Pokemon for this team. Yawn, as part of its utility, as a great way to counter the Gigantamax Pokemon on the other side, as well as just put to sleep anything that would be mildly scary for the team. Great defense stats, and just kind of carried this team to some success where it found possible, but also made it harder for other coaches to get a win against the Texas Fuecocos. So a great Mon. Definitely put in the work for the team this season. Some other notable picks would be the Gmax Inteleon, which had a lot of kills for this team. I think it was tied or just under Umbreon for the most kills of the season. And then Rotom Wash being in the same category, a nice defensive pivot, but also a good powerhouse if you want to run it that way as well. So definitely put in the work and helped out this team secure its only victory in the season, but also put up some really good matches for the viewers. Our next team is the Sassy Squirtles with another 1-6 record. Again, only 1 point between these last two. The MVP is Aegislash for this team, who did put in a lot of work doing most of the team's kills, and also just being a great option as a Mon that has a really cool ability and move pair that makes it kind of difficult to deal with, especially in a doubles variety where you're trying to play off predictions and play off what you think your opponent is going to be doing next. So a great Mon for this team, and has definitely put in its work. Dragonite and Araquanid, other notable members with high kill death ratios on the team. and definitely some of the notable squad members for the Sassy Squirtles. Next up, we have the Lunar Mountain Lycorox, just out of playoffs here, choosing Cradily as the MVP, as a nice defensive Pokemon, also with the ability Storm Drain, able to deal with the weaknesses to water that a pseudo sand team would be running. 2 and 4 on the season, but other noticeable picks are definitely the Gmax Lapras, which was helpful in setting up Gmax Resonance, and Tyranitar, which kind of anchored the sand team. Both of them having very high kill rates this season and just being a menace to the team in general that they had to face. Finally, we move into our playoff teams, and coming in fourth in the regular season is Detroit Red Wingles. MVP of this season being Groudon, and since this is my team, I can kind of talk about it a little bit more in detail. I didn't ask the coaches about why their Pokemon were in the MVP. I just thought they made sense. So Groudon sits here, maybe not the most kills. I think that was Charizard on this team, but definitely had the most utility as a member of this team. As a Sunsetter, it kind of was the linchpin of the team, put in the work where it needed to, whether that be defensively or offensively, as a switch, as a tank, whatever Groudon needed to do, it was a part of the team for that, and definitely earned its MVP status. Some other notable members are the Gmax Charizard that was aforementioned, with a lot of kills this season, and honestly was a terror for pretty much every other team. I always got the, I don't know how to beat the Charizard, or the Charizard's scary, and it really isn't, but it's still there as a good option for the team. And Blaziken fits on this as a usable team member that didn't get enough showing time. It was drafted and traded for in the middle of the season, so could have used a little bit more playing time, but definitely put in the work in its first match and the subsequent matches going on from there. So definitely a scary Pokemon to have to go up against, and really rounded out this team very nicely. Our third place goes to the Hawaii Haunters, and the 4-3 record, only losing 2 matches in the regular season, and of course the final playoff match, the semifinal playoff match. Palkia fits this team as its MVP, definitely led the team in most kills, thanks to a couple of matches where Palkia kind of just ran through teams. That's what this thing does as a legendary. Water Dragon, really hard to counter, really hard to deal with, and it definitely showed that off this season, being difficult to prep for and taking a bunch of the opponent down before something would come in the back and clean. Gmax Gengar is notable on the back of this team as a really good offensive Pokemon that caused a lot of problems for teams going forward with the coverage it gets. Was really hard to come up with a strategy against. And then Matang as a defensive option for this team had a lot of kills actually for a tier 4 Pokemon, so very surprising as one of the team's best couple of mons to be brought this season. Up next is our runner-up, the Herkimer Dreadnoughts at 6-2, only losing 2 matches the whole season, 1 in the playoffs and 1 in the regular seasons. Porygon 2, as you saw earlier, is the second most kills of the season at, I think, 11 or 12 it was. But that is something very good for a Pokemon that's typically seen as a defensive option. Porygon was a great counter to a lot of teams, and as a normal type, it kind of fit the bill in any way it could. Some other notable high kill leaders were Electabuzz, who definitely got a lot of kills as a tier 4, which is another good use of this team, and I think that's definitely part of some of the success of the Herkimer Dreadnoughts this season. And then the Calyrex Ice Form, which put in the work against a lot of teams and became an absolute menace when coming into battle preps for, because there's just really not a good way to deal with it, especially when it can be run with Choice Scarf, it can be run with Band, in Trick Room. It has a lot of options, and that 165 attack stat is just kind of a ridiculous thing to have to prep against. So, a good member for this team. And finally, your Season 7 PDL doubles champion is the one and only Solo Sallow and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. 7-1 this season, only losing their final regular season matchup. We mentioned earlier the dominance of G-Max Rillaboom is only going down in one battle. Definitely carried this team to a lot of victories going forward. The highest kill leader of the season, the best kill death ratio, and the most brought Pokemon this season. Some notable pairs with this were the Yveltal, which was a restricted mon for this team that also just kind of sat beside a Rillaboom and assisted in domination in any ways it possibly could. And then the Incineroar as a bulky pivot, an option with Intimidate to shut down physical attackers, and just a really good overall Pokemon in doubles. So nothing too out of the ordinary for these three Pokemon, some of the best in the competitive sphere, and definitely made part of a very, very difficult team to play against. So that is the breakdown of all of the teams this season. If you missed our matches, I would definitely recommend you checking them out. We had some phenomenal matches. Many came down to a couple of plays that shaped and determined who won. The playoffs were phenomenal. If you missed those, every single one coming down to the last wire and just giving us the best time. So I hope you have enjoyed season 7 with PDL. It has been an incredible season, and we would like to thank Sword and Shield for providing us with the format for the last 3 seasons. Of course, now that Scarlet and Violet is coming out in only a couple of weeks at this point, we will be switching over to Scarlet and Violet if there is another season of PDL. That is a massive if. We have to definitely assess the format before jumping into another season. But thank you for all of the coaches who participated. This has been one of the easiest run seasons in the history of PDL, despite all of the changes that have happened. So that has made this league incredibly easy to do and more fun than some of the other ones have been in the past. So I think we just keep improving and we keep facilitating great battles and great teams and coming up with some really nice battles for you guys all to watch. So if you haven't, again, checked out all our coaches, I would recommend doing so. There is this playlist that this video is in, the Premier Draft League Season 7 here on this channel. It has links to every coach who has participated in their particular battle, so you can definitely go check them out if you would like to see their perspectives on the season, or if you missed battles or you want to relive some of the highlights of this season. Definitely would recommend checking them out. We look forward to seeing what Season 8 will hold in in Scarlet and Violet, and we're glad to be continuing to moving on with new seasons, new coaches, old familiar faces, and definitely some new Pokemon and mechanics in this next season. So we hope you have enjoyed Season 7. That'll be it for us today. We hope you have enjoyed and will consider joining our Discord server for more, because there will always be information given in the Discord server first. Of course, you can stay tuned on this channel by subscribing, and you'll see some information there. Would recommend also going to check us out on Twitter, twitter.com. Our user is PDL_season_S7 at the moment. So if you'd like to check us out, you look up the Premier Draft League and follow us on all of those platforms. I appreciate you guys joining us for this postseason analysis. Again, if you want to see more about the stats, you can check out the website. It is linked down below. So please go do that if you want to see more. And we look forward to bringing you more information on future seasons as to what comes up. But for now, that is all we have for you. So until next time, my name is Chaos, your coach of the Detroit Red Wingles and commissioner of the Premier Draft League. We will see you next time. So until then, stay safe. And as always,